Without Markus Anderson, I hope to prove to you in this video that Meghan Markle wouldn't have the level of global fame that she enjoys now.
Who is Markus Anderson, and why is he always around Meghan and Harry?
My 4-year-old, when we play imaginary play, she gets all the jams out the cupboard and lays them all on the table, and I get the fake money and pretend to buy them. Meghan is doing imaginary play, but she's doing it with Markus.
Back in her early days, she was totally reliant on Soho House to pay for her travel, to pay for her accommodation.
Now, his job was to go to a new city wherever they were opening up a new Soho House, and his job was to find the best and the brightest of that city to invite to the founding members party. And they didn't just invite anybody. To be a founding member, you really had to be somebody in the social scene of the city where they were opening up.
She was calling herself a model, and she was starring in a show Suits. She used to charge almost $30,000 per trip, which is why she was making good money. It wasn't on Suits, it was on her yachting trips.
For many years, this almost A-list actress, and that's Meghan Markle, precariously balanced herself between dating and yachting. She thought of it as dating upward, and there are perks such as lifestyle and glamour and gifts of dating upward rather than yachting in the traditional sense.
Here we have Andrew, with whom looks like Markus Anderson. This is in 2001 when Meghan Markle would have allegedly been on 3rd year.
Meghan has always had this very, very strange fascination with Soho House, very much this weird obsession with it.
Meghan Markle hardly spent any time at Northwestern University. According to people, she got started her yachting days and she never stopped really. I don't think any of her boyfriends do about it, but Meghan Markle was known as a hardcore yacht partying person, ready for anything.
Once a Soho House basic, always a Soho House basic.
Allegedly, it's not just the cocktails that are swinging.
Montecito was meant to be silent, the kind of silence rich people decorate with overpriced lavender candles and filtered family photos. Harry was hiding from the cameras he once sprinted toward. Meghan was parading around as the CEO of whatever brand she invented this week, and the whole facade was rehearsed to perfection. And behind them, like a shadow they pretended wasn't human, Markus Anderson was there. He was always there.
Is like a parasite always lurking in their shadow. No normal family has a constant third wheel, male or female, leeching onto their every move. Markus is practically glued to them.
The loyal accessory, the invisible hinge holding Meghan's entire image together. But even the quiet ones eventually get tired of being treated like props. The whispers came straight out of Soho House circles, the place Meghan once used like a social ladder disguised as a club. And those whispers carried one name, Markus, the man who supposedly knows more about Meghan's pre-royal past than Meghan herself.
This guy has been around all of the time. Isn't that suspicious to you? Because it is for me. It is something strange.
Markus started off at Soho House London as a waiter, and he was a global membership director when he first met Meghan.
So Jessica Mulroon introduced her to Markus Anderson in Toronto.
The man who set up the magical first meeting with Harry, and allegedly arranged far more than that. Sources say Markus isn't dropping hints anymore. He's gearing up with names, dates, clients, connections, the kind of details you don't forget even if you try. And the moment those whispers hit daylight, the fairy tale Meghan spent years painting suddenly looked less like royalty and more like a fantasy collapsing under its own lies.
You know, this is what Meghan has been doing. She's a piece of Klingon, you know, like she clings to somebody who can get her there. So Meghan manages to befriend one person of a very popular group, and then that person introduces her to the others. And because that she's being brought in by somebody they trust, she's welcomed in.
See, Markus Anderson wasn't some friendly +1 Meghan grabbed off a Toronto sidewalk. He was the global membership director of Soho House, the gatekeeper to connections, money, powerful circles, and the kind of rooms people pretend aren't transactional even when they clearly are. He didn't just host events, he curated access. He decided who got inside and who stayed outside staring through the glass. And Meghan, she wasn't standing outside, she was attached to his hip like ambition wearing lipstick.
Markus Anderson is very unique in the Meghan Markle Disposable Friends series.
Meghan Markle only becomes prominent for Soho House, guys, after she starts being on Suits and she's introduced to Markus Anderson. And then she gets more consistent and more prominent work. okay? Because then she could be in the presence of Markus Anderson.
During her Suits years, the era she retells like it was some adorable starving artist montage, Meghan was never actually struggling alone. She was networking with precision, orbiting Markus like a future duchess who understood the assignment long before Harry ever appeared. She was at every party, every curated moment, every opportunity Markus could open. Sources say when Harry wanted to meet Meghan, he didn't reach out to her. He reached out to Markus, and Markus set the whole meeting like a professional coordinator staging an audition.
I thought the matchmaker for the call girl, allegedly, wasn't it her pimp, Markus Anderson?
A private Soho House room, a filtered guest list, a controlled environment, an introduction engineered, not discovered. And once you see that, a question appears like a neon sign nobody bothered to unplug. If Markus arranged the beginning of the royal romance, what else did he arrange? Because Meghan didn't describe Markus as a friend. She described him as loving, supportive, and endlessly fun, carefully choosing words that sound innocent but never explain why yacht invitations, luxury trips, and endless doors kept opening for her without a Suits-level paycheck to match.
And we also have this is Karina Shuliak, Epstein's girlfriend.
And the only times she traveled and went anywhere was with him. And guess who's on the other end with her Panama hat?
Now whispers say Markus is allegedly tired of being erased, deleted from documentaries, blurred out in photos, and treated like a disposable extra in a story he helped build.
That's interesting, because this says, have the two idiots moved on from their matchmaker.
When a man who holds secrets gets angry, he doesn't yell. He digs. And digging is exactly what people feared Markus might finally be doing. Here's where the situation turns from dramatic to radioactive. People close to Soho House always said the same thing. Markus kept records, not because he wanted gossip, but because that was the culture. They monitored who met with whom, who was introduced, who got a private room, who funded what. It wasn't glamorous, it was controlled.
He is the perfect person to be a highly paid consultant now for Soho House, because he never puts a foot wrong. He never says anything about anyone.
And now the circulating claim is brutal. Meghan's name wasn't a footnote in those records. It was a pattern. According to the whispers racing through Hollywood and royal circles, there exists a client list, not the Hollywood kind where agents brag about contracts. This one includes wealthy Toronto businessmen, international billionaires, and elite figures who allegedly paid for the luxury trips Meghan showed off online with no explanation.
Jeffrey Epstein was also Harvey Weinstein, very prominent. There were members. Meghan Markle was just one of the working girls for Soho House. Call girl, working girl, escort, whatever you want to call it. That's what she was.
This wasn't brunch with friends. This was networking with teeth. Whispers say the list outlines who funded which yacht trip, who paid for which luxury escape, who opened which doors she couldn't open alone. It wasn't flirting. It was transactional choreography, and Meghan allegedly navigated it with precision. She wasn't a bystander in this ecosystem. She was fluent in it, charming enough to attract wealthy men, trustworthy looking enough to calm ambitious young actresses, determined enough to ride that system straight through the velvet ropes.
Meghan Markle's story, simply because he liked her story. I mean, that's really how they became friends. You know, whatever she told him about how she wanted to become big, famous, wealthy, all of that sort of stuff, well, that really connected with
Markus. He allegedly kept everything, every connection, every date, every introduction. But the whispers didn't stop at wealthy businessmen. They started drifting toward darker corners, elite circles rumored to overlap with names connected to far bigger scandals of that era.
Epstein was obviously getting leverage on all these different people for whatever his purpose was.
What do you think? That's what the question is. Like, what could he possibly... A lot of them were scientists. He went with a lot of, like, celebrities. There was heads of state.
I don't think he needed money.
Right. Well, what was he...
I don't know. I mean, maybe he just... Who knows?
Nothing proven, but the coincidence of timelines was enough to make even casual observers sit up straighter. And that's when the entire narrative Meghan curated began to look dangerously thin. Just when Meghan's image seemed airtight, the cracks began to glow.
Wasn't there some speculation that she was on Epstein's yacht at one point in time? There was like photos with her and Prince Andrew way back in the day when she was like in her early 20s.
Wow.
Years of glamorous trips, oceanfront escapes, and luxury experiences vanished in a digital smoke cloud. It disappeared because it held context. And context was the last thing she needed the world analyzing. Those unexplainable luxury trips, those yacht shots, those world traveler moments she showcased like a lifestyle magazine spread. Sources whispered that Markus was the missing link that connected every dot.
And everybody all around the world that you would want to to know. The very rich, the very connected. Anybody who is anybody would be in Markus Anderson's little black book. And he's never betrayed a confidence. He's never made a slip.
Meanwhile, Soho House itself started facing scrutiny, financial instability, pressure from investors, and the uncomfortable question: what was really happening behind those doors? Was it just a celebrity clubhouse, or was it a highly disguised marketplace of ambition?
As it says, inspired by Soho House. Am I wrong? I thought Soho House was like not doing well or potentially going under and struggling. Maybe that was just the London branch, but it didn't sound like things were going well. Maybe not across the board. I don't know. But last I heard, things weren't going well for Soho House.
Sources say Markus began realizing something ugly. He had been essential to Meghan's rise, and then he was conveniently removed from her story. The Smiling Duchess brand didn't have room for the man who allegedly arranged the meetings, the introductions, the opportunities, and the access she built upon. And when someone who knows everything feels erased, they don't fade away, they surface. He was allegedly the architect behind the scenes, and now the whispers said he was ready to let the world see exactly what he helped construct. And that's when Harry's world, the one he sacrificed everything to build, began to collapse beneath him.
I think she was scared of coming back to this country, and quite rightly, because the people of this country don't like the fact that she's stolen our prince. And she's literally brainwashed him, blinkered him, and tied him down to his California mansion.
While Meghan floated through Montecito staging smiles and Netflix-friendly strolls, Harry was quietly falling apart. Not the dramatic, table-flipping meltdown he used to save for palace staff. This was the slow kind, the kind where a man realizes the puzzle he thought he solved was actually a picture someone else assembled for him. People noticed he stopped defending Meghan with the same blind loyalty, stopped racing to rescue the narrative, stopped playing the role of the loyal husband in her endless documentary auditions. Instead, he retreated inward, quiet, withdrawn, replaying the origin story he once believed was fate. And every time he looked back, the same ugly truth stared back at him. Markus didn't just introduce Meghan to him. Markus allegedly introduced Meghan to everyone.
We're not poor. They just wanted to land a rich man and make easy money. And the worst part of it all is that Meghan Markle was already with Trevor Engelson there. She was already living with him. There was no need for her to be hustling this way.
Suddenly, the magic moment, the chance meeting, looked less like a fairy tale and more like a strategic placement arranged by someone who specialized in arranging things. And then came the humiliation. Harry learned that Meghan hadn't stumbled into wealth and influence late in life. She allegedly rehearsed for it, studied it, played the long game through Soho House's corridors before she ever stepped near a palace. And the deeper he looked, the more it seemed she didn't just prepare for royalty, she trained for it like a role with the biggest paycheck of her career.
It's easier to talk to him because he was a billionaire and you knew that you wanted to go back to LA and that Canada was always going to be a pit stop. From the very beginning, this woman orchestrated leaving the royal family because all she's ever wanted in her life was to be an A-lister in Hollywood. She did not have the talent to become an A-lister in Hollywood. She was relegated to a D-list actress spot on a show called Suits that nobody in America had seen, but apparently, which Prince Harry lets us know.
Harry thought he was a reward, but Meghan allegedly saw him as the final level. And while Meghan smiled for cameras, Harry was left staring at the rubble of a life he thought he chose, realizing he may have simply walked into a script written years before he ever arrived.
It was planned from the beginning. She denied being interested in the royal family, which she totally was. I know someone who knows the ex-husband who said she had a vision board with Prince Harry on it.
But the meltdown in Montecito wasn't just emotional, it was strategic. The whisper network around Meghan didn't shift because of gossip. It shifted because the world around Soho House was changing. The club that once operated in shadows suddenly found itself dragged into daylight. Going public on the stock market meant auditors, investors, journalists, and analysts started asking questions. Nobody had asked when the rooms were dim and the money was private. And those questions weren't about decor or cocktails. They were about how the place actually functioned. Financial reports hinted at instability. Rumors swirled about branches struggling. People wondered whether the glossy image matched the reality behind the scenes. And with that pressure came something Meghan never expected. A reason for people inside the old world to stop carrying her secrets.
Meghan Markle only becomes prominent for Soho House, guys, after she starts being on Suits and she's introduced to Markus Anderson. And then she gets more consistent and more prominent work, okay? Because then she could be in the presence of Markus Anderson.
Markus Anderson had already spent years being pushed out of her narrative. His name missing, his face blurred, his existence cropped out like an inconvenience. He watched the woman he once helped navigate every door in Toronto pretend pretend he was a footnote, pretend the past he witnessed was irrelevant, pretend none of it mattered now that she had traded velvet lounges for royal titles and Netflix deals. But betrayal has a weight, and erasing the wrong person comes with consequences. Insiders said Markus wasn't just frustrated, he felt deliberately erased. A fixer rewritten as a background extra, a gatekeeper turned into a ghost, and watching Meghan posture publicly as someone blindsided by palace life while privately rewriting the timeline he helped build was the final insult. Because he knew the truth behind every polished anecdote. He knew what was spontaneous and what was staged. He knew what was luck and what was positioning. He knew the difference between a woman overwhelmed by fame and a woman who had planned for it.
Her guest list to her wedding showed her real ambition was to be a star in California.
What changed wasn't Meghan. What changed was Markus deciding he no longer owed her silence. And in a world where public companies face scrutiny, where brands fight to survive, where whispers turn into leverage, one person deciding to speak isn't just inconvenient, it's catastrophic. This wasn't about yachts. This wasn't about TIG posts. This wasn't about glamorous old stories. This was about the one man who knew the blueprint, choosing not to protect it anymore. At the end of all the chaos, one brutal reality hung over everything. The man Meghan once relied on, the fixer, the gatekeeper, the architect of her social rise, was allegedly done being silent. And when a person like Markus decides to speak, he doesn't just expose a rumor, he exposes an era. He exposes the room she walked into, the introductions she leveraged, the relationships she fostered, the opportunities she never acknowledged, the past she deleted on purpose. Because if Markus drops all the receipts the whispers say he has, then Meghan's image, the struggling actress who rose through charm and luck, breaks on impact. The victim narrative evaporates. The carefully curated Duchess storyline dissolves. And what remains is the version she tried hardest to bury. The world now waits to see which happens first. Markus speaks publicly. Legal pressure silences him. The marriage collapses under its own weight, or the entire story shrinks back into whispers. But one thing is already certain. The fairy tale cracked, the image fractured, and even if the truth never fully spills out, the damage is done. Because the moment a fixer stops fixing, the whole illusion collapses. Now tell me, what do you think detonates first if the truth comes out? The brand, the marriage, or the entire Montecito storyline? Drop your predictions below. If this saga kept you hooked, go ahead and like, subscribe, and tap that bell, because more receipts, more drama, and more chaos are already on the way. Thanks for watching, and if you love the celeb chaos like I do, feel free to check out some of my other videos on the top of the screen. Until next time, stay tuned, stay safe, and stay informed. Only on Tea Time with Tina.